From the studios of WDCR in Hanover, New Hampshire, the Dartmouth College Department of Theater welcomes you to the first episode of Faith, Hope, and Charity by Ödön von Horváth, adapted and directed by Peter Hackett from a translation by Péter Fábri. Please listen closely now to this story of young citizens trying to hold on in an America very much like ours. Black Tuesday, October the 29th, 1929. Wall Street is reeling as the stock market crashes, sending the U.S. economy into a catastrophic downward spiral. What follows is the Great Depression, the longest and most disastrous monetary and social collapse in American history. At its lowest point, some 15 million Americans, or 30% of the workforce, are unemployed, and nearly half the country's banks have failed. Now it is the spring of 1932, an election year, and President Herbert Hoover, who had promised voters a chicken in every pot and 2 cars in every garage, is campaigning for a second term.
My conception of America is a land where men and women may walk in ordered liberty, where they may enjoy the advantages of wealth, not concentrated in the hands of a few, but diffused through opportunity to all, where people secure in their liberty shall have leisure and impulse to seek a fuller life.
Yet, over 20,000 World War I veterans and their families are living in ramshackle camps, or Hoovervilles, at various locations around the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. Hungry, homeless, and desperate for relief, they are waiting for Congress to act on the bonus compensation promised by the government for their overseas service. In response, President Hoover chains shut the gates to the White House and orders around-the-clock police patrols of the grounds. Elizabeth, a young woman in a red cloche hat and the daughter of a decorated veteran, is standing alone on the street in front of the Army Medical Museum and Library. She wants to enter the building. She looks around uncertainly, but there is not a soul anywhere. A young policeman, Alfred Myers, slowly passes by Elizabeth and apparently doesn't notice her.
Officer, excuse me, please. I'm looking for the Army Medical Museum.
The Medical Museum?
Where they cut up the corpses.
You're standing right in front of it.
Oh, okay then.
Be careful, miss. The severed heads are in rank and file and standing at attention.
I'm not afraid of the dead.
Neither am I.
I haven't been scared of anything for a long time.
Keep it up, missy.
Piss off, Flatfoot.
Can I help you?
I would like to speak to the person in charge.
What do you want?
It's urgent.
Are we holding a corpse for you? A relative, perhaps?
It's not about a dead relative. It's about me.
Whatever are you talking about?
Are you the person in charge?
I'm the dissector. You can trust me.
I was told, specifically, that one can sell their body here.
Excuse me?
What I mean is, when I die, you gentlemen inside there may do whatever you want with my corpse in the name of science. But I get my fee paid in advance, in cash. Right now.
That's a new one on me.
But that's what I was told.
By whom?
Someone I work with.
What is it that you do exactly?
Actually, at the moment, nothing. And it will probably get worse before it gets better, but I don't let that get me down.
Selling your own corpse? What is this world coming to?
I take what I can get.
Ridiculous.
What are you doing?
Calling my pigeon friends. It's lunchtime.
Oh my gosh, they're coming from everywhere.
I can make one land on your shoulder. Here, take this bag of birdseed.
It will be done promptly, sir, and once again, my deepest condolences.
You're very kind. I blame myself, you know.
Oh, but the public prosecutor established your innocence despite those allegations.
Disparaging allegations.
Oh, very disparaging.
I was at the second battle of the Somme, but nothing I saw there shook me as much as this.
No.
We were married only 3 months. I told her I would drive.
Yes.
Then there was that blind curve on the Rock Creek Parkway near the zoo.
Oh.
Thankfully, they released her body.
Yes. Just a moment, please. And you. Ow. Are you feeding the pigeons again? Inside that building, there are fingers and tracheas lying around everywhere. You think this is a pigsty? Do your job and put those 2 unfortunate gentlemen along with their livers back into the freezer. Christ in heaven, it's absolute chaos.
But the young lady there wanted to sell us her corpse, sir.
Her corpse, not again.
Extraordinary.
God knows how many times we've said that we don't pay the living dead for their corpses in advance. It's the government that should help, always the government. And you, young lady, you people are lazy. Nothing but lazy, and you want everything for nothing.
A completely unprecedented view of the responsibilities of the state.
Mm-hmm. You've heard President Hoover. Things will change very soon, sir.
Well, let's hope so.
Excuse me, sir?
Ah, Miss Santana, you're looking lovely as a summer day, as always.
You have a call.
A call for me?
It's about the case of that poor little girl at Camp Marks, the sergeant's daughter. You're to go immediately and see the medic at the camp infirmary.
Immediately. Take my coat and hand me my hat.
Right away, sir.
Sometime this century, if you please.
Here you go, sir.
Excuse me, sir. It seems that the experts in the veterans camp can't determine what caused the death of this young girl. Duty calls.
Of course.
And once again, my deepest condolences.
Thank you.
It has been my honor, sir.
Goodbye.
And you, St. Francis of Assisi, get back to work.
My boss is not a very nice person. My poor pigeons. Believe me, young lady, the best thing for you to do is to go home and jump out the window.
You're a big help, Mr. Dissector.
I like you, but who buys a corpse? They're a dime a dozen.
Tomorrow will be different.
Nothing will change.
I'm not so sure.
Oh, you're not?
Someday I'm going to be lucky. I just know it. If I could have sold my corpse here for, let's say, $15.
$15?
Exactly.
You're such a child.
Why do you say that?
What does your father do?
He's an inspector. A chief inspector.
A chief inspector? You don't say.
But he can't take care of me right now on account of my mom passed away in March, and suddenly he has so many expenses with that, and...
What's a shabby dissector compared to a chief inspector? Well, well, well.
You see, if I just had $15, I could get my sales license, and then the sky's the limit, because with a sales license, I could support myself. I got thrown out of my first job because of the hard times. But, you know, Hoover says prosperity is just around the corner.
What was your line of work?
I sold suspenders, girdles, corsets,
Interesting.
and bras and things like that.
Really? Look at this photograph.
What a nice doggy.
Baxter, my miniature terrier.
How cute.
And clever. Unfortunately, he's gone to the great kennel in the sky.
I'm so sorry.
That was his whistle. He always returned when I did this. But he won't be returning anymore. Baxter. No more chasing squirrels in the park.
Hey, you'll be all right.
You know, it's really nice of you to be so sympathetic about my poor Baxter. What's your name?
Elizabeth, with an S.
Elizabeth with an S. You know, I read in The Untold History of the Austro-Hungarian Empire that there was an Empress, Elizabeth with an S, of Austria. She was a fearless little woman like you, and beautiful. But that didn't stop some crazy Italian anarchist from stabbing her in the heart with a needle file in broad daylight. It happened in Geneva, you know, where the League of Nations and, oh, what a racket that is. Now I'm left with my butterfly collection, the canary, and a cat that ran into my house yesterday and made herself at home. Are you interested in aquariums?
Excuse me?
I have a terrarium, too.
A terrarium?
So, would you like to pay me a visit, Miss Inspector?
Maybe.
Still feeding those blessed pigeons? Enough! And you, young lady, get lost. Do you understand?
Yes, sir, of course.
Well, if this doesn't take the cake. Instead of finally finishing your catalog of tumors, you're diddling away the hours entertaining that woman.
No, sir. She's the daughter of a chief inspector who has fallen on hard times.
Chief inspector?
Exactly. And if this daughter of a chief inspector could just come up with $15, she could get her sales permit, and the world would be her oyster. You know, I know that you think I'm pathetic, sir, because I have an aquarium and I feed the pigeons, and because I've got a good heart.
Get to the point.
To the point, yes. I will take this daughter of a chief inspector under my wing. I've made up my mind. $15 it is.
$15?
She'll pay me back.
So you still believe in miracles? You are such a ninny. If you were my wife, I'd slap some sense into you.
What's that bandage on your finger? Hurt yourself?
Infected.
Not from a corpse, I hope.
Of course, yes, just now. That case in the bonus camp. What rational parent would drag their 7-year-old daughter hundreds of miles across the country only to live in mud and filth? Camp Marks is nothing but a bunch of ramshackle shacks made of debris from the local junkyard. Packing crates, tar paper, chicken wire. But behind the shanty town, it's a different world. There's row after row of pop tents, courtesy of the U.S. Army. I had to walk past them on my way to the infirmary, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Sticking out of the flaps, I could see black toes and white toes, side by side. Black men and white men, veterans of the Army, all of them sleeping next to each other. Everywhere, can you believe it? Camp Marks is a weed in the garden of democracy. Someone should pluck out. Ow!
You must be careful with that finger, sir.
Oh, you know, it feels cold. Isn't that odd?
When I look at my butterfly collection, I'm reminded that everything happens according to God's plan.
Well, when I look at you, I'm reminded that even God can have serious lapses in judgment. Come on, you dimwit. Duty calls.
That weed in the garden of democracy, Camp Marks, is growing daily. Veterans and their families continue to pour into Washington, D.C. by the thousands, bivouacking in various camps around the city. On the grounds of the U.S. Capitol, Major General Smedley D. Butler addresses the bonus army.
I never saw such fine Americanism as is exhibited by you people. You have just as much right to have a lobby here as any steel corporation. Yeah. Makes me so damn mad a whole lot of people speak of you as tramps. By God, they didn't speak of you as tramps in 1917 and 18. No. Let me tell you, this is the greatest demonstration of Americanism we've ever had. Pure Americanism. Don't make any mistake about it, you've got the sympathy of the American people. Now, don't you lose it. Yeah.
Across town, Ms. Prantl, a very talkative person, especially in her business life, is in her office in the back of her shop. At the moment, she is busy at her desk arranging invoices and looking very important. The wife of the magistrate judge is sitting in front of her. In the background, there are dummies with corsets, garters, and bras lined up in order like the heads in the Army Medical Museum.
I must take my hat off to you. 7 garters, 6 corsets, 11 pairs of suspenders in just 3 days. This is a new record. Congratulations, you have a real talent. Better than most of my professional saleswomen.
Well, I must admit, I travel in social circles where being the wife of a magistrate judge has its advantages.
You are way too modest. Being in sales these days is no walk in the park. People slam the door in your face.
Yes, well, remember that we have an agreement. If anyone asks, you tell them that I'm selling these things as a hobby, a way to pass the time, and so...
Of course. It remains our little secret.
You know times are hard when a wife is forced to support her husband. He's a magistrate judge, but he makes a pittance. People are being laid off left and right, except, of course, the district judges and the highest level bureaucrats.
Yes? Send her in immediately.
Should I leave?
Oh, no, this will just take a moment. Good morning, Elizabeth. Come right in. Let's have a look at your receipt book.
Here you go.
What's this? 2 pairs of suspenders, 1 bra, and 1 girdle? That's absolutely nothing.
Selling these days is no picnic. People slam the door in your face.
No excuses, please. As a saleswoman, you should help to develop your customer's sense of fashion. These days, everybody is exercise crazy, and one sees half-naked women everywhere. This is the best possible publicity for our line of business, and you have got to pay more attention to the man of the house. I haven't met a gentleman yet who didn't have a good eye for suspenders. How did it go in Baltimore?
There was nothing in Baltimore.
Nothing. Baltimore has always been a gold mine.
I didn't make it to Baltimore.
Why not?
I wanted to save time, so I got a lift from this... Anyway, he drove straight as the crow flies, but suddenly the car broke down, and I had to sleep in a stable in the woods.
A stable? In the woods? What do I pay you for? If your crow keeps flying like this, it will be Judgment Day before I get the $15 back that I advanced you for your sales license.
But it was an act of God.
Act of God? When my employees start with acts of God, I might as well give up. I swear, I'm going to blow my brains out. If you had blood poisoning, maybe. Falling out of a streetcar and breaking a leg, I might just consider. But I, Irene Prantl, will never surrender to the self-indulgence of an act of God.
I couldn't help it.
Oh, don't give me that, Miss Act of God. Look at Mrs. Magistrate Judge. She doesn't even need the money, and yet she made 4 times as much as you. And she's only doing this as a hobby.
Here you are, you fraud! You imposter! Your father is a chief inspector, all right? Chief sanitation inspector at Camp Marks, that hellhole full of vagrants and communists. He and his buddies clean the latrines and pick up the garbage that dump. If you'd told me this in the first place, that he isn't a chief inspector at all, but a worthless bum, you think I would have provided for you like that?
He's not a bum, and I never even hinted that he was
Certainly
anything
you
other
hinted. Certainly you
No,
said chief
never. I never
inspector.
said
You
anything
said
like that. I
chief
always said
inspector.
he was... I
Chief
stuck to the truth.
Stop it!
Oh. Excuse me, ladies. I am very sorry for bursting in here out of the blue, but compared to a chief sanitation inspector, and not even a real one at that, a ratty dissector is a somebody. And this swindler here cheated me out of my hard-earned money.
That's not
that I worked.
true.
So,
Be quiet.
be quiet.
Now, miss. Methinks the lady doth protest too much.
Right, she's right.
I won't say another word.
Not surprising. If anything like this had ever happened to you, you would completely just lose.
Down.
Thank you. I will. I am a good-hearted person. But I can't stand it if someone lies to me.
I didn't lie!
Would you shut up, young lady?
Thank you.
Cigarette?
Yes, thank you. So, ladies, this person comes to my place and she exploits my paternal instincts. I show her my aquarium. I lend her my book about Tibet. And I give her $15 for a sales license. And oops, silly me. Her father isn't a chief inspector at all. I made some inquiries, I had to, for my own peace of mind, since everyone is always making jokes about my soft heart.
Sales
and
license? What sales license? She already got her sales license from me.
What? From you?
It's company policy. When they are hired, the firm gives the new employees an advance and the employees pay it back over time. $15.
$15?
This is a shakedown!
I'm not a cheat!
Yes, you are. I mean, clearly based on, what?
May I chime in? It doesn't matter what you say you are, young lady. The only question is if there is material evidence that a fraud has been committed. That's all that matters. Otherwise, there would be no justice at all.
Exactly.
I have nothing to do with this affair, and I personally have nothing to do with the justice system, thank God, apart from the fact that I'm married to the magistrate judge. But if you didn't buy a sales license with this gentleman's money, then, as my dear Arnold would say, and I can hear him now, you've misrepresented the facts, and that is material evidence of fraud.
I'm only a poor dissector who tried to do a good deed.
You'll get your money back.
Fat chance.
You will. Every penny.
When?
I'll work it off.
Really? Not with 2 pairs of suspenders, 1 bra, and a girdle. Oh, yes, and 1 act of God.
Act of God? You fraud! Give me back my money right now!
I don't have it at the moment.
But I already gave you your sales license.
Well, yes.
You see?
But I used this gentleman's money for something more urgent.
Oh, this gets more interesting every minute. Well?
Oh, I don't care. I used it to pay a fine.
What? You've already had a run-in with the law? You've got a police record? Mark my words, I'll see you go to prison. I was your last victim.
How very nice.
If this gentleman files a complaint with the police and then testifies in court under oath, you'll be convicted.
You'll go to prison.
Oh, come now. Only to DC Central Detention, that's all. For, I'd say, about 14 days.
But everyone will think I'm a criminal.
What do you expect, especially when you conveniently glossed over the fact that you already have a record?
I'm not obligated to tell you anything.
Don't act so high and mighty. You should hang your head in shame because of this scandal. You are dismissed at once.
No, please, I need this job. I can't.
You stay right there until the police arrive. I have better things to do than babysit a swindler.
It's none of my business, but a criminal record must make life very unpleasant.
I have a record because I once worked without a sales permit. So I was issued a $15 fine payable in installments. Soon I missed some payments, so the whole amount became due. I was drowning. I couldn't pay, and I would have gone to jail, and all my dreams for the future would have... So, I used Mr. Dissector's money to pay the fine. Last winter, I watched my mother die. Slowly. By inches, she just faded away. My father sat rocking in the dark for weeks after that. He didn't say a word the whole time. But I never lost my hope. Last week, I was at the rally at the Capitol. I held a sign, "In Hoover we trusted, and now we are busted." A cop grabbed it and tore it to pieces. I told him my father was gassed at Belleau Wood so I could carry that sign. "Your father can rot in hell, you little commie bitch." But I didn't lose my faith. The politicians say that things will get better soon, but all I see are thousands of ragged, hungry people, uprooted and unwanted, looking everywhere for work, walking down the roads by day and sleeping by the roads at night. And I'm afraid I'll soon be joining them. I love my country, but I want my country to be worth loving. Deep down, I haven't lost my faith. I know my lucky day is coming. God will never forget the needy. The hope of the afflicted shall never perish.
Just remember, don't deny too much and don't try to come across as smarter than the judge. My husband is a nice person, but don't drag things out. Just get to the point. When I'm waiting for him at home with his lunch already and he can't leave the courtroom because the hearing is going on, then he loses his patience and starts to become unreasonable. You know, defendants should have some understanding. They should know that even a judge is only human.
What does the future hold for Elizabeth? Is she on her way to jail? Will the judge have time for lunch? Whatever happened to the chief dissector's finger? Tune in tomorrow for the next episode of Faith, Hope, and Shadow.